Welcome to part 3 of Homer's journey, which I'm calling the Path to Pepe. So the next event for Homer is going to be Anime North, so I have time to put a little enhancements in on him. The first thing I wanted to work on was enhancing the gearbox assemblies. So what I ended up doing was extending this support piece here all the way to the back, minus about 1mm. I reduced the holes in here from 3 on each side to 2 on each side. That was just to give more plastic in there because they were cracking around here. And I added this backing plate here that I can put the screws through and slide nuts into there, and then allow it to basically constrain the motor such that it shouldn't be able to flex out nearly as easily. I added a little piece in here which is basically just meant to hold the screws in place so they don't back out without having to use anything like a lock nut or Loctite. So basically the idea is this is a tapped hole that I don't even need to tap, it's just sized perfectly. I run the screw in through here through a nut to hold it from pulling out, and then into here just to keep the screw from backing out, and it gets one nice little package in there. The next thing I go to work on is the brackets that are here. So this is to add side bracing onto here and run a bolt through here so that if in the instance of being attacked, I basically will have extra bracing along here to prevent the whole shield from being pulled out. As a result, these two, it's not modeled, but these two bolts on the edge will go away and be plugged. And yeah, hopefully that will provide the extra rigidity Homer needs to not have the faceplate torn off all the time. So those are the main plans to get built before the next event for Homer, which is Anime North, a sumo event, happening in I think a couple months from when I had designed this. Getting the new gearbox assemblies made was no big deal. Just print the parts, get the Sencut Sen parts, and assemble it together. And since I'm reusing most of the frame, I have to clean up the damage left over by hyperpolarized. So the next parts to rebuild were the inside frame rails and the front face. The inside frame rails were fine. I was just reducing the number of screws for the gearbox assemblies to hold onto it, so I wanted to make new ones. I accidentally drilled a couple holes off on the front face, but decided to just go with it because it shouldn't really affect functionality too much. I noticed from my gearbox pulleys that they'd started to come a little loose. They were a firm interference fit when placed in, but ended up loosening a little bit during the fights. The main concern I had with using nylon with these gearbox pulleys was that they might round out, but so far they're holding up and the improved toughness is definitely worth it. So I was going through my failed wheel pulleys, and the one thing that came off as interesting is, despite the fact that the wheels are held in with 6 bolts, and there's bushings that run through the pulley hub, that it still managed to fail where the BaneBot style interface connects with the wheel. I would have thought the bushings and gears would have provided enough support for that not to cause a problem, but clearly not. The failure there doesn't cause any problems because of all the extra support around. It was just surprising to see. For my bash plate, I'm plugging in the outside holes to prevent horizontals from potentially catching on it and throwing, as rare as that would be. So I'll be keeping these center 3 holes, and I'll also be attaching these brackets on the side here. This allows me to also secure the bash plate to the side frame of the robot. This should distribute the forces better and hopefully prevent the face shield from being ripped off so easily. One thing I forgot to compensate for while welding this is, as we were welding through here, it was obviously getting hot on the other side, and it sunk into the wood just a little bit. And so that is a little proud. Nothing a grinder can't fix. All right, so they're flattened out nice here and here. Nothing for the any kind of spinning blade to catch on and do some kind of weird damage to. And on the back, I smoothed these out too, so they'll sit nice and flush when it's pressed against the wood. All right, I've got the side panels welded on. It lines up pretty nicely. The only catch is, the welds on the inside here and here. They do bump in right here and, here. So I'm just going to try and sand them down aggressively so we get a little chamfer in here. And that should give enough clearance for the weld. And then it should go on nicely. Bolt it in, mark where the holes are on the sides, and drill the holes for the side bolts. So you can see right there, fit in there nicely. Same with the other side. This normally sits a little proud of these intentionally just so that I don't risk interfering the front with the sides by design. So I normally cut this just a smidge short. It also gives me a little more clearance in case I need to adjust these if I'm replacing a side panel in a combat event. Like having a little bit extra here allows me to put a little wiggle in here in case these bolt holes just don't perfectly line up. I can align it to how the wheels are nice and then attach it after that. Now I just need to mark the holes and then drill through these pieces. This is basically done. And if I'm feeling extra adventurous, so over here you can see the holes are accessible enough. I just need to be able to get the screwdriver on there. But here they weren't. I don't know how it got so far off, but I can access, I can see the 2 on the right there. On the left, I can't get that one. I tried to just drill the holes bigger to get it, but the drill walked the wrong way. So I might be able to just take a router and get that top left hole there. and just like to allow accessibility. And I mean, while I'm there, I might spread out the bottom left hole as well. Appears I made a tiny mistake here. When I designed these chamfers, I made sure that they cleared this, but I actually didn't check if they cleared at the bottom. They just collides, but since this is just a TPU piece, you can kind of just squish it in place. So I've got everything set up. This battery's obviously just sitting loose. I didn't bother to put in there. All the wiring's done. The only thing left to do is to drill the holes in the side rails here and on the top here, but I'll do that after. First, I'm going to do the smoke test. Now, in theory, everything should just be fine, but let's see in practice. So we get Homer going. Homer's at a primary antenna, no inversion. Not that it really matters in this case. Let's turn on. So good, the lights are working. We can see both have signal. So this one's brighter, so it means that this one is the one in charge. This microcontroller's in charge. This one's on standby. So let's do a simple drive. Okay, that's looking good. Let's do a failover. Yep, works good. Let's see here. Let's go back to primary. Let's do it while moving. Immediately shuts things down. Good. And let's do a failsafe. And it failed. Let's turn it back on. And we're back. Okay, so all the wiring works correctly, which is what I expected because very little was really modified here. So yeah, we can go over all the details one last time for this. So these pieces right here have been really beefed up. This is now nylon instead of PLA, and I've reduced the screws from 3 to 2 on each of these sides because, like, the plastic was splitting, so the plastic's weaker force. We have this back clamp here, which helps hold the motor and gearbox together because the oldest system wasn't holding the gearbox in place enough, and under high forces, it was actually bending the faceplate where the gearbox and the motor touch. So that's that done there. The mounts for the LEDs are now TPU instead of PLA. I also have nylon ones as well, but I think the TPU ones make perfect sense. So we have removed 2 bolts from the front, and we have these plugs are in their place. And instead we have the 2 bolts moved to the side here. So in theory, it has to pull through all of this wood to help rip the front off, which is just, relying on a separate 2 other pieces of wood, as opposed to relying on a huge stress line that would run along the center of here. I'd previously tried to offset that center line by having these offset, but there was just so many holes, and the fact that we had side bolts going in, that just failed. That's mainly it. A couple wires had to be lengthened or whatever just to meet the new thing. So if I pop this on here. Okay, so the holes are lined up, and it looks like, yep, I can reach the power switch, and that green LED shows through nicely. The 2 red ones, you can see them through there. You can tell that the top one is brighter than the bottom one. So yeah, this is basically all wired up. Just need to drill, like I say, screw the blit on, drill these final holes in here, and also take out the battery for now. And this will be basically prepped, ready to go. I'm going to put the second logo I have on here, so that Homer can be presentable, and it's good for the Sumo match. So now on to Annie Mayhem 2024. This event is a double elimination, and matches are best of 3. My first opponent is the one that eliminated me last year, the multi-bot Whammo Can and Driveway Hero. My plan for this one is to wait for one of them to show an opening, quickly strike and hastily back off in order to prevent the other from capitalizing on my attack.
2, 1, fight robots, fight!
That was certainly a poor attack and a worse overcorrection.
Fight robots, fight! Whammo Can goes right out. Homer takes out the other one. Go! Homer takes one opponent out, but Driveway Hero had the angle, and it's now underneath the side of Homer. Homer's locked up on that center pole. Manages to get under Driveway Hero.
Locking onto the pole at the end definitely saved Homer's bacon, as that low ground clearance would have definitely caused him to lose that time. My next match is against the top tier lifter, La Machine. My main strategy for this is to Beto to flip and see if I can capitalize on it. Let's see how it goes.
1, go! La Machine upside down, tries to get back onto its feet. Homer shoves it out. Fight! You can see why we have the pull. is to create tense moments like that one. La Machine locked up, gets a flip in, Homer fighting, and Homer goes out. Fight. A nice toss from La Machine, and a second big...
So close, but no cigar. My next opponent is Scuttlebot. My main plan is not to overcommit to a fork-on-fork engagement unless I'm sure I've got it, because he'll lift me out otherwise. He has a mini-bot with him named CatGPT. It's a joke mini-bot, so my plan is basically to ignore it until I have to deal with it.
One to go. Homer underneath Scuttlebot, a big shove. Now it's just CatGPT. And down it goes. Go. And Scuttlebot takes game number 2 on Sumo. Homer manages to get under Scuttlebot, now just has to finish off CatGPT. CatGPT putting up a fight. Let's hear it for Homer!
So I didn't execute my plan the best, but still good enough. My next match is against Zoidberg. If I win this, I get at least bronze. I know their fork game is better than mine, so my main strategy's gotta be to get him from the side.
One fight! Good driving by Homer. Like I said, it needs to be nimble. Has Zoidberg pinned up against the pole. It shoves Zoidberg out. Good driving, Homer. Fight! Wow, good shove. Zoidberg takes set number 2. Homer touched. Sumo! Very tentative approach. Zoidberg can lock up on that center bar, so can Homer. They go around it. Zoidberg pushes out Homer. Your winner is Zoidberg.
Ah, nuts. Oh well, as a little bonus, Homer's gonna fight as a mini-bot in the 150 finals.
One, go! A big slam from the companion bot. Out it goes. Experiments at 150 in a good position. Shoves out. Bloodsport. Go! Homer gets around the back. Experiments at 150, has a robot on either side of it. It's locked up on the pole with its wheel. Wheels off the ground is never good. Password goes out! Homer, the only hope. Your winner is Experimental 150!
Well, that was fun. Anyway, on to some more improvements for Homer. For the next iteration of Homer, I decided to improve the forks. What I went for was something that both help in sumo and in full combat. The idea is here to have keep away forks, so if I go fork to fork with someone, either I'll win if their forks are too short enough because they'll catch up on this lip right here, or if their forks are also long, then we will tie and claw under each other, in which case we'll have to disengage and re-engage until hopefully I can keep doing that until I get a favorable outcome. So because this was meant for both combat and for sumo, I decided to keep this range of here limited so that when it spins around, basically it can't go too far in one direction or another. It's designed though such that if it's upside down, this will be like a ramp. So it will effectively be like this. This will end up being a ramp more like this. And then of course, in its regular situation, it'll just be its intended fork. So it'll give me 2 options here. And yeah, so the idea was to build this up and see how it goes out. So I got the forks cut out of 1/8" AR500. I took the little tabs here and insert them in here, and then clamped the whole thing together for some tack welding. After that I removed the clamps and I finished off. I've gone and built Homer's new fork designs here. So we got a nice sharp edge right here. The idea is obviously we get in as low as possible here, nice area to get in there. And I've grinded it down quite flat. I could do a little bit more, but it's pretty good. And then the idea is that they obviously catch in right up here again, and catch on this. And then if it is flipped over, lies pretty nicely like this. So if they were to fight it in the upside down position, it still works as a fork that can lift them up, but they'll fly over onto the top of Homer Not generally something I'm probably going to want to do, but it's still a fork at this point, which is important. And maybe there'll be some opportunity where I'll want to do this. Probably not, but see how things go. I need to order bolts that fit this properly. But otherwise, yeah, I'm just currently grinding things down to make them all fit nicely with my freshly repaired belt sander. It took me about 6 months to repair that. I actually only fixed it like 2 weeks ago, which was right as I was finishing up the previous Homer video when I released it. So that's how long it took me to get around to that. It's going well. I'm just trying to tune it so that these travel just the right distance, just the right enough high, just the right enough low. Unfortunate thing is I tried to make it so that this would have a little bit of clearance in it, like this would when it's in the upright position. I wanted a little bit more of a gap right here to guarantee that it rides on the tip. But instead this actually landed basically perfectly flat. There's a tiny bit of flex in this one. I think this one actually has no flex due to just like imperfections in this. So unfortunately this one actually rides like right on the ground. So technically it lifts up a little bit here. Can't really feel it. So I'm sure when I grind it down, it'll still be quite low. We'll be having like, a fraction of a millimeter of clearance on that. So it should still be good. And since it's a nice flat fork, I think it'll be good at fighting, coming in contact with people because it'll have a nice firm backing on this. So yeah, basically this design is kind of similar to the Dragon Princess design, except Dragon Princess has 2 forks that come out the end, whereas I like this idea of having a nice flat fork in here that you can file really, have a nice wide, very low edge to it. I think it might be a better idea, but we'll see. So it just makes it that much easier to catch them and go up. And then if I miss them by a little bit here, but they have more ground clearance, then they can bobble up there. I guess in theory I could chamfer down these edges too, but I'm probably not going to. And yeah, I have to trim these down a bit. I've already trimmed some of the stuff here, to, like the welds, to allow this to travel. So when it's upside down, this one binds a little earlier. But yeah, this is going well. And also, unfortunately, my templates got damaged. During a heavy rain, some waters came in and soaked up a little into it, but they are still usable for making new lids and frames. Homer's next event is CNE 2024. This is another Sumo event, which is a round robin followed by a top 8 single elimination. There are 10 other robots registered for this, so let's hop into it. My general strategy for this whole event is to use my new long forks as much as I can, and if they don't seem like they're working for a particular opponent, I'll switch over and use the short forks instead.
1, go! This is a best of 3. A lot of times robots will kind of suss each other out at the beginning. Homer is clinging on and it's out. Scuttlebot takes the first match. Fight. Homer swinging around the outside and out. Homer will take that match if it finishes Cat GPT off, which it... There it goes. Go. Great driving from Homer, your winner!
That went well enough. On to my next opponent, Microwave. I'm not too worried about fighting Microwave as its forks aren't very good at fighting Homer.
1, go! So Homer, the white robot, shoves the Microwave out of the arena. Toot sweet. Fight. And out goes the Microwave once again. Go. And Homer is going to sweep the Microwave.
My next opponent is Alpacalypse. Time to see if my new forks work against a top-tier robot.
1, go! Nice job from Homer getting around the side. Apocalypse with the flip, but Homer works upside down and follows up. Big shove. And Apocalypse takes the first one. Go! Great maneuverability, going all the way around the pole and getting the flip in one smooth motion. Go. The full suplex.
A loss as I expected, but at least I put up a good fight. My next opponent is Napoleon.
3, 2. It's all right. Get your robot reset, please. Facing the pole.
Now for some context, Napoleon is both a rookie robot and, unfortunately, their primary driver wasn't available for my match, so they have someone else from their team stepping in hoping they can do the best they can.
Go! Okay, that one counts. 1-0 for Homer. Go. Okay, Homer has watched his opponent push himself off the arena twice, so he is holding steady. And there it is. Homer takes this one. Go. And Napoleon has driven really well a few times here. Homer is right to still be cautious. But also, no need to put yourself at risk if you don't have to. Napoleon overshoots. Your winner is Ho.
My next opponent is Dispatula. No special notes for this one, let's just see how it goes.
Go. Wow, great driving from the spatula. Go. That was exactly the same as happened the first time. That was crazy. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, caught on the floor the second time, says the driver of Homer.
And just a reminder that we sometimes do a few extra fun matches even after a winner's already known.
Fighting in 3, 2, 1, go. That was a horrible count-in, I'm sorry. Oh! What a maneuver. The reaction time on this spatula, but Homer gets it done. Fight. The mind games around the pole. And Homer gets that one, man.
My next opponent is Finagler. Due to its interesting shape, I decided to use my anti-axle bot shield to try and get some extra practice with it.
1, go! Finagler wrapping around that pole. And normally Homer just has some forks on the front, and he went with the big plow attachment this time. A really good choice. Homer was out first. Go! Good driving from Finagler, locking up on that pole again. Finagler managed to get under Homer, but couldn't push because of the pole. And he's under again. A straight shoving match. Finagler goes out first, and we are going to a decider. Go! Finagler!
Well, that gave some good information, mainly that I don't like driving with that giant shield and might be more hesitant to use it in full combat. My next opponent is Ralph, a low-powered pneumatic flipper, which unfortunately has been having issues with it the entire event.
1, Sumo! These guys have to push each other off of this platform if you're just joining us. And Homer gets a beat on Ralph. Go! Good job by Ralph hanging in there. Nice maneuver from Homer to back off and push Ralph out. Nice driving, Homer. Go!
My next match is against Jimmy Neutron's Hot Mom, another lifter that'll be a hard one to take down.
1, fight! And this is going to be a game for the low ground. Both robots going to try to get under the other one. What a flip! Homer's still in it. Oh my! And Jimmy Neutron went out first. Jimmy Neutron went out first by maybe half a second. Go. And you can see Jimmy Neutron trying to maneuver on either side of the pole. Nice. And Homer goes out of the arena. Fight. Nice flip there. Homer runs both ways up, though. Not good enough.
A close one, but unfortunately not in my favor. Next up is La Machine. La Machine is the precursor to Jimmy Neutron's Hot Mom and Alpacalypse, so let's see how it goes.
Go! Homer goes out of the arena. Go. And what Homer does have is 2 different sets of forks, and it's using one of those super effectively. Dan pushes out La Machine. Fight. Wow, La Machine in a precarious position, spins out of trouble, gets back around, great maneuver there, and pushes out Homer. Let's hear it for La Machine. Go. Very evenly matched robots here. As you can tell, Homer takes that one. Go. The slightest overcorrection. Wow, all the way out of the arena, even out of our external holding him a doodle. Go. Go. Nice. Let's hear it for La Machine and Homer.
A loss as expected. Oh well. Next up is Whammo Can and Driveway Hero.
1, fight. Wow. And Dan plays for keeps. And the ammo can sends Homer out of the arena. Go. A good shove there from Homer. And it's caught over the lip. I see a fork on the ground. No, it's not on the ground. Now it's on the ground. Your winner is Whammo Cannon Driveway Hero. Go. Yeah. I got you. I got him. I got him, Jennifer. I got him. Yeah! Okay, I got a little enthusiastic. I'm sorry.
And with that, the round robin is over. So in the top 3, we have La Machine, Red La Machine, and Pink La Machine, and Homer in 6th, meaning it's time to fight Pink La Machine. I mean, Jimmy Neutron's hot mom. Jokes aside, it's a great, very competitive design. I'll take it from this robot right here. Now moving on.
2, 1, go! This has been Jimmy Neutron's strategy, waiting for the opponent to make the first move. This is borderline here. Homer was hung up on the fork there. Jimmy Neutron couldn't get it to come off. Homer tries to get around and sends itself off the arena. Go. The beginning of these matches, always a battle for the low ground. And who blinks first? Homer managed to get the leverage there on Jimmy Neutron. And we are tied at 1. Fight! A little juke there from Homer off the gate. Jimmy Neutron trying to stay reactive and read the opponent. Won't blink, wants to stay lined up. Homer trying to use that pole to suck Jimmy Neutron in a little bit. Jimmy Neutron bites, goes for a flip. Both robots under each other. Homer gets flipped over, but it's still okay. Or is it? Jimmy Neutron is going to be moving on to the semifinals. Go. And you guys are getting me in trouble with Chloe, so don't make it a long one. See, what no one really realizes that Chloe is actually the chief. She's in charge. We all just do what she says.
I'm gonna be real. My eyes are bigger than my stomach. I gotta hold my stuff, I think.
So Jimmy Neutron wants to call it here because they have another fight after this.
Well, too bad didn't win that one, but on to the Rumble for fun.
1 fight. It's first to 2 victories here. Let's go, Whammo Can. We got this. Are we the only ones left? Let's go, Whammo Can. I won the Rumble! Let's go! Go. My strategy is hold forward. No, I'm out. big flip from Apocalypse. Apocalypse just flipping everything he can. Tossed the robot onto himself, and it's Ralph and Apocalypse. Your winner is Apocalypse. Go. Andrew took me out immediately. The only other threat. Apocalypse. The spatula is going to be the winner of this one. Go. Come on! No, no! The microwave wins! Go, microwave, go! Okay, maybe not. Apocalypse got shoved off with Whammo Can in his clutches. Homer shoves out Napoleon and then Driveway Hero. And then Ralph, and Homer is going to poke the microwave over. Whomp. Go. Wow, Homer getting tossed back and forth. Scuttlebutt, a full suplex. Unbelievable. But he's tangled up in Scuttlebutt. And Ralph is eyeing him with a hungry look in his eye. Ralph is caught peeling up part of the floor again. Llama manages to hook Ralph and pull it out. Ralph was out first. Your winner is Apocalypse. Unbelievable. So Apocalypse, the red robot, actually won that because it pulled Ralph out beneath it while hanging off of Scuttlebutt. I've never seen that before.
Overall, a pretty good event for learning how to handle these forks. They add mobility issues, so they're not the kind of thing I want to have slapped on all the time, but there's certain situations where they work out well. So next up, we'll be prepping Homer for Motorama 2025. Oh, and the video's not freezing here. The finals really did just go this way. Dealing with a passive opponent is something they'll need to be prepared for the next Sumo event. Alright, so it's mid-October right now, and my goal is to have Homer completely ready before December hits. I have a spare set of parts made to replace components as they get damaged, plus I'm building a spare frame. So the spare frame will be made out of some of the parts that are here that aren't used for other spares for when they get damaged in combat. And I have to repair these. So we have like moderate damage here, some more minor damage here. So we're just gonna flatten out that bump. And then I think there's another minor damage on this one somewhere. Yeah, we got a little bit of a split here. So I'm hopefully gonna be able to hit this with the heat gun, or like all these parts with the heat gun. And just basically, the hope is here to just slap an old frame on top of it, clamp it down, and hold it in place, let it cool, and then do it. So basically, yeah, heat it up, clamp it down, hold a nice flat shape again. I've never done any kind of plastic forming before. Seems like it's easy enough. Hit it with the heat gun, try and flatten it out. Well, normally everything's around bending a flat thing, so I'm just trying to reverse it. But I feel like the formula is going to be the same. I'm going to heat it up on both sides, try to clamp it down. And, you know, if all else fails, at least for some of this, I could just cut it clean. So I'm not too worried about this. So let's just see how it goes. All right, let's see there. See a little crack in there? I found it amusing. There's still red paint on this from when Nautilus hit me. It seems that each year I get to take home a little bit of his paint. So yeah, one thing that was interesting in like one of the videos I watched before I mentioned it, that the UHMW comes clear as it gets hot. Like not perfectly clear, but still, it's a neat effect to show that its temperature is going there. It makes it a lot easier to work with because you can get an idea of how hot it's getting. Yeah, so I'll leave this to cool down on its own. This clamp is not on that strong. I don't think it needs to be. And then Maybe I'll clean up this bit of, this was from cemetery wind. I could probably do that the next day. And yeah, keep working on those. All right, it's cooled for, I don't know, 40 or so minutes, which is probably more than it needed, but that sure is nice and flat and repaired. So I'm just going to clean up this, leave it for the night, and then do the other one tomorrow. Yeah, cemetery wind's damage came out even better. You can barely tell it even happened. Like I say, yeah, I did get clocked right here. Just a little dent on this side, but I don't think it... You can see the screw heads in there. It hits so hard. It'd be the screw heads that, yeah, the gearbox outline, the gearbox mount is here. So these would be the screws that go into the gearbox, would be here, here, and then there'd be two more over there. And then these were ones that hold the gearbox mount right into the, I guess, the frame rail. And these are sunk in to the bracket. So like the entire gearbox hold, which would have been made out of PLA, compressed inwards, and then the screw compressed into here. It's so wild. Otherwise, it just scuffed this here, which is nice that it didn't do anything too bad. This is just a shot of leftover damage from Nautilus. Cleaned up pretty good. There's a little chunk missing here, but you know, considering it was bent out like, it's a pretty good repair, I think. So this has now been heated up and pressed flat. One thing that was interesting while I was working on it is that when I was heating it up, it was actually still, it was bowing and getting even worse. But I figured if I just heat it up, clamp it down, it would hold its position when it cooled off, and it did. So yeah, this worked out. Top and bottom plates are prepared for the spare chassis. I just need to assemble that spare chassis. For Homer spare parts, I don't drill all of the holes in advance. I drill all of the major ones, and then what I do is I line it up, and because it's wood, it can warp a little bit. That's why I don't drill them in advance. But I, on the spot, just drill the remaining holes, because as you see, it does not take very long to just pop these extra holes in. And this allows for it just to be quickly done up and assembled, even if things get a little warped, bent out of shape, like if the chassis gets warped. And yeah, you just do this like this, and then bam, ready to go. So, one of the advantages of working with wood. And right before November hit, I managed to get Homer completely prepared for Moto. Alright, we've made it to Motorama 2025, and my first opponent is returning champion Pepe Silvia. Excellent! This will be a great test for Homer, and there's no excuses for poor functionality from other damage taken in the tournament so far. And for those unaware, Pepe Silvia is a 45-pound shuffling vertical spinner capable of dealing massive damage that can throw enemies across the entire arena. The comments didn't exactly show a lot of faith that I was going to win this one, but I looked at this as my chance to be my version of Gloomy versus Hyperactive. And for those unaware of Gloomy versus Hyperactive, about 10 years earlier there was a match between a robot that was made out of pristine machine-engineered parts and another robot that was hand-built in a garage. And while people lined up to see that hand-built robot get destroyed, it turned out winning in the most spectacular way that went down in history. So let's see if I can do the same.
Direct hit, we're stopping the fight.
My main strategy for this is to just try and control him by shoving around the arena, similar to how I did with Pipe Bomb. This will be trickier to pull off against Pepe compared to Pipe Bomb because Pepe has better maneuverability. But let's see if I can do it.
On the clock, please. 2, 1. So you see there, Pepe has these wacky legs on the outside, but the center of Pepe Silvia is all weapon as the whole drum spins upwards at a high speed. And because they are a shuffling robot, they weigh 45 pounds, and they use that weight to their advantage. Homer's going to keep that front steel plate aimed completely at Pepe.
My right side drive is locking up a little bit at this point.
On the back. Oh, hope your eardrums are in good shape. Oh, there goes the entire back. If you notice, the entire wood frame is cracked in half on Homer. Still moving, but the important steel bit, yeah, that's no longer good. It just pulls right through the wood. Homer's made it 2 minutes and 15 seconds so far. Sorry, 1 minute 15 seconds.
seconds so far.
And when he said we were 2 minutes and 15 seconds in, I was like, wow, this is going faster than I thought, but nope, got a lot more to go. At this point I know I just have to keep the aggression up, I gotta keep going at him, but I have to be careful enough that he doesn't tear me to pieces.
Right now, Pepe, you see how much power is in that drum in the center there. As it turns, it is being pulled up. That is how much force is being imparted by that drum. Right now, I think Pepe is just doing drifts all around the box, and Homer is still hanging on here, trying to find an angle to come at the side and push Pepe around. It's kind of hard to attack Pepe. You have to go through the legs. Under a minute to go, 45 to be exact. This may make it the distance here. Homer using those remaining forks to try and do something to jam up that weapon. The 3-minute limit.
Kudos to Homer.
So honestly, I thought this went pretty well. I showed control, aggression, damage, maybe not so good. The comments also indicated that, you know, this isn't a given for Pepe. But one thing that's important to note about the rules for this event is that it's not the standard damage control and aggression here, it is actually damage strategy and aggression. And with no other judging details beyond that, I wasn't really exactly sure, so I just waited for the decision.
Judge's decision is in for your winner. P.E.P.E. Sylvia. Pepe Sylvia, your winner.
Ah, nuts. But I still went the distance against the champ, and I'm quite proud of that. I have some ideas of what I could do better next time if that ever comes up again.
Alright, so here's the outcome of Homer's fight. So yeah, the entire exterior frame, let's see my shot here, yeah, is not only written off, it is almost completely split in half. It is held on by only a little bit of force here. The internal frame is actually probably what's holding it on. I think the actual external frame is entirely destroyed. Oops, and frame. I think the external frame is entirely ripped, all the entire distance of the robot around. And yeah, that is holding together because of the screws along here and the screws in here and here. So it's good I use as many as I do. Yeah, these forks ripped out the back here. So basically we're gonna replace the entire exterior shell of this, and it should hopefully be good to go if we can do it in time. So when he pulled it out, he dinged a couple washers. It's okay, I got more of those. This weld's held, which is good. And anything notable on the front here, there's like scuffs and stuff, but that's it. So yeah, pretty good. Overall, Pepe Sylvia only did like $3 of damage to me, so that's pretty good.
My next opponent is Darkrise. I've not heard of this robot before, but its general architecture is one of a known type, so this shouldn't be too big of a surprise. A neat thing about this robot is that it uses metal reinforced TPU forks, which should be interesting to see how it catches on Homer's shield. I actually had to hammer Homer's shield onto the repaired frame for reasons that will become obvious later on. I'm running long forks on the inside to combat Dead Rise's also long forks. Also fun fact, right before we fought, the fire alarm went off, so we had to shut off our robots, go out, come back in, turn them back on again, and then we got to fight right now.
30-pound combat featherweights. Homer, strategic in its approach, getting to the backside of Darkrise.
In case you can't tell, I'm getting stuck on the floor a lot.
Darkrise winning the fork game.
Uh-oh.
And there comes some splinters off of Homer. Lost one piece of fork. But I hope that front plate does its job. You have to feed that in. Right now, Darkrise just polishing the steel on the front. Those orange sparks you're seeing is steel getting ripped off a Homer. grinding and some hitting there. Homer still staying alive though. Dark Rise opting not to go full tilt, but taking cautious, half-powered approach. Still getting some damage, but also keeping the wrist to himself a little low. Oh my, Homer!
No, he can't move either.
Well, that's doing a thing if I've ever seen one. Okay, Homer, you've got 10 seconds here. 10, 9, 8. Oh, they're both high-centered here. Oh boy. That's gonna be it. Pause though. Timeout, pause. Thank you, Box Loader, for being the official on that one. So because of the simultaneous KO, we are going to do a reset. So they're going to get put back into their squares to finish up the fight. That is the official word from our Box Loader.
Excuse me, I did not account for that orientation.
I did not account for that orientation.
So that was quite the impact. So he got high-centered on my forks, the very forks he was ripping off of me. Before the match, I had checked Homer in various orientations to see if he'd get stuck on his own forks, but that specific layout was not accounted for with having both bent forks and also the smaller forks splayed out like that, leaning against the wall. But hey, wild things happen in the box. So I'm about to do something foolish here, and I'm going to highlight this just so that other people are aware of it. Moving a robot while someone else is in the box is not a good idea ever. Even though Homer has no weapons, he has plenty of sharp spots on him, and a speed controller could glitch out at any moment, so it's just best to not do that. Just don't be that guy. But with us reset now, let's resume the fight.
3, 2, 1. Okay, 23 left to go on the clock. Lucky break for Homer there. That got chunky. And a tap out issued. Blue square. Your winner by tap out is Dark Rise.
So when he said I was lucky because Dark Rise got high-centered on my forks, I figured, Dark Rise was lucky I got high-centered on myself. From his hit. Yeah. Anyway, I tap out because I literally can't move anymore. I am stuck on my own screws. But let's go back and highlight the interaction when I went from winning to losing this fight. Alright, so I get him and I'm running him into the wall, and what happens is he flips backwards, he hits the ground, takes a chunk of it out, I then get stuck in the ground at the very spot he just took out. So I then attempt to pull myself out while he's recovering, and success, I do it, and then I go to face him, and I go to charge, and I immediately get caught in the tiny crack that was there on my right forks. I then try to turn again, I get caught a second time, and then I start to pop out right then as he hits me. He engages with my forks, tearing out the ones on the right side. And then one of my long forks manages to land on top of him. So then he charges towards me to go at an engagement, but he stubs on my forks. So we bounce off a little bit and start spinning around. And my fork falls off at this point. So here's where things get really interesting. As we're engaging, he bumps my lost fork, and then as I'm backing away, I clip it just the right amount with my shield, and that's where it stays until the moment. And that moment where we collided ended up both high centering. I really was trying to push him back with my shield. Now, was I trying to get him to land exactly on the fork? No. But you know what? It worked out anyway. And with that, let's look at the damage. So on his front, his tooth got chipped up pretty good.
So yeah, we obviously got hit here, so it's peeled up this, that's easy, I'll just like heat it up and bend it back. 8 up here, it just, can we get it in the shot? It just kissed the bolt, so no serious damage there. Yeah, it obviously kinked this up at the end. Homer failed because it was high centered on its screws for the frame. They backed out a little bit from all the, yeah, they've come loose. You can hear it. They hear it from all of the hits. You can see it a little bit there too. So they backed out when the frames failed. And that's what happened there. But yeah, good old, whoops. Split in half, both fights. So yes, this is clearly no longer a sustainable solution to use, sustainable solution to use 2x4s or yeah, anything that's lumber grade kind of wood. So yeah, basically anything that's got some grain that it can split along, it's not going to work out. So an alternative must be found. So it took just a little bit of hand force to pull this off of Homer. So yeah, clearly if I didn't get stuck on all those screws that came down, one more hit and this would have gone flying. Yeah, Homer is split very visibly in half, all the way here to this screw. On this side, just really flaked apart more. And just a quick internal shot. As you can see, most of this is fine. The new brackets, they held okay for the whole event, and the LEDs didn't break off or anything, which is good. Yeah, all the wires seem to still be attached. So yeah, I believe this still completely runs. I'll have to see how well these wheels have survived. So some of the remaining damage here, we started getting splitting along this rail here. But yeah, they stayed mostly intact. Pretty good.
All right, our next award here, we have the most destroyed robot. Anyone want to place some bets on this one? We came up with Homer on this one. I know, we know Homer gets knocked around pretty good, but I think this is an extraordinary year of shrapnel for you, sir. Yes, God of my witness, he is broken in half. To quote a famous wrestling commentator.
So despite coming in last, it was still a pretty great Motorama. I mean, I lost to the champ, and then the guy who knocked out the champ, so that wasn't so bad. And I held my own pretty well while fighting them. But now let's talk about Homer's shield and the future plans for him. So earlier I mentioned having to hammer Homer's shield into place for the fight, and that's because Homer's shield is bent. And I mean, really bent. It is about a 1/4 inch off the ground sitting flat on this desk. So, as much as the wood is always the part that fails, the steel is actually getting quite a bit of hammering before it does fall apart. And the idea here is I'm actually going to still keep Homer as wood. I've got some ideas, I think, that will help me maintain the wood frame, and we'll give it another year as a go. I just kind of want to see how far wood can go in this. The main plans I have for the next version of Homer is going to be, I want to try and shrink the height of it, basically. So the wheels will stay the same size, but I'll get extra ground clearance. I'm hoping to bring this from 2.5 inches high to 2 inches high. I also want to rework the fork solution. I have a new idea that I think might be a little bit more effective. And I'd also like to change the motors inside here. So currently they're Bainbots ones. I found a different 775 supplier. They seem to be just a little bit better for what I'm trying to do. I also plan on making Homer more easy to repair and adding a new shield config. So with that, I'll end this chapter of Homer and say, see you next time.